सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. ॐ
So I'm looking down because I'm reading this at the same time. So it talked about detach both kinds of sense organs. I'm just wondering how far that goes. So I wake up every morning, even though I'm not here. And so I go through this day and I notice all these preferences towards, for me, it's like beauty. You know, I want the food that I prepare to look pretty, and I take the time to, you know, brush my hair and maybe even put on a little lip gloss, you know. So how far is that okay or not okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my beloved guru Swami Paramarthananda gave these instructions that if you want to be free from too much binding desires, that we should make all desires a preference. Then when it is a preference and not a need, it is much better. It is different to say, for example, to yourself that I would like to cook today for myself and my family this kind of dish. I prefer that. But somehow I didn't have at home all the stuff that I need for this particular dish. It is perfectly fine. I will make another dish. But if you say to yourself that it is terrible that I cannot do that dish, that particular dish, and I don't feel nice today because of this reason, of course it is a binding desire. So whenever you make a desire a preference rather than a need, it is a wonderful approach. Of course, there are certain desires which are by themselves non-conducive for self-realization and for permanent peace, happiness, and bliss. For example, the use of drugs. You cannot say that, yes, I will have a preference to use drugs, because by itself it is non-conducive for self-realization and in general for leading a peaceful, happy, and blissful life. But for the desires that you mentioned, it is perfectly fine if you make them just a preference. It's not no problem at all if you want to wear a nice dress. It's not problem if you want to use cosmetics, but only if it is a preference. Millions and millions of ladies, they can be totally dissatisfied and unfulfilled if they don't have, let's say, the most expensive and the most extreme cosmetics to use. This, of course, it is a binding desire. It will maintain, it will reinforce the false belief that I am the body. And in the teachings, in our holy tradition, Guru Parampara, we want to be free from the desires. We want to be not slaves to the ego desires. But when we speak about the middle path, and we don't go into any exaggerations, then it is perfectly fine. But we should be always careful which particular desires cannot be even preference. Just as I mentioned drugs or alcohol. Alcohol should not be even a preference for a mumuksu, which means a seeker of moksha, a desirer of moksha, self-realization, enlightenment. The same with eating meat, fish, eggs. This food is not conducive for self-realization, because it produces what we call in Ayurveda tamasic or rajasic mind, not sattvic mind, which means a mind which is appropriate to grasp very profound teachings. Then also to the desire to make love, for example. It is perfectly fine if you have a permanent relationship, and even better if you are married and you enjoy making love with your husband. But if sex then becomes the center of your life, and you want to change partners and you are seeking satisfaction through pleasures and senses, then of course it's not conducive for self-realization moksha. Why? Because it is reinforcing that I am the body idea, the false belief, ahamkara, the idea, the misconception, the notion that I am the body-mind complex. When in reality, we want to recognize and be convinced on a permanent basis that what I am is Brahman, infinite, impersonal consciousness, awareness, or presence. And furthermore, a good compass, GPS, for how to lead a perfect lifestyle is the scriptures themselves. There is what we call the Dharma Sastram, where it is mentioned in full details what is recommended and what is forbidden and what is conducive or non-conducive for self-realization, moksha, enlightenment. So each and every aspect of our lifestyle should be according to the Dharma Sastram. A lot of instructions are also in the scripture Bhagavad Gita. And a lot of instructions also we can find in the Prakarana Granthas, such as VIVEKACUDAMANI itself. Prakarana Granthas are the scriptures written from great acharyas, great gurus, such as Adi Sankaracharya himself and others. So if somebody is following the Advaita Vedanta path, there are a lot of instructions and a lot of guidance from the Guru Parampara, the authentic lineage, and also the scriptures. It needs only to have the guidance of a competent guru who is part of this Guru Parampara, the authentic lineage, and all these instructions will be revealed to you, will be presented to you gradually. Of course, it is not possible to cover all these topics in 1 hour. But in general, everything is written down in full details. The life itself is something that you can enjoy. Life itself is not from the scripture something bad or something that you should avoid to enjoy. Nobody said in the scriptures that you should not enjoy life itself. Everything is there for enjoyment of life itself. But when it becomes a binding desire, then of course it is problematic. I don't know if you want me to elaborate further.
No, that was very good. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody else? So if there is no any other question, maybe Andrew can read from the transcript of my Guru Swami Paramarthananda until somebody has a question.
There you go. And even though superficially looking, the guru is a human being, the real nature of every living being, and especially the guru, is none other than Brahman or Atma itself. So through this, Shankaracharya indicates the essence of the teaching, that the essential nature of everyone, including ourselves and our guru, is Atma or self. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, I offer namaskara to my guru, who's physically Govinda Bhagavadpada, but really speaking, he is none other than Atman or Brahman itself. Now the question is, what is the nature of that Atman or Brahman? That is described in 3 other words. And up to this, the meaning for guru is Vakyartha. Now, in the following words, we get the Lakshyartha of guru. Guru is none other than Brahman or Atma, which is revealed or knowable only through the teaching of the Upanishad. Gokaram means revealed or knowable. Veda means our Vedic scriptures. And Vedanta or Vedanta means the final part of the scriptures. The spiritual portion of the Veda is called Vedanta, which is otherwise called Upanishad. So Sarva Vedanta means the spiritual portion of the Vedic scriptures, and Siddhanta means the central teaching, the bottom line. So Sarva Vedanta, Siddhanta Gokaram means that which is revealed through the central teaching of all the Upanishads. What is that? That is none other than Brahman or Atma. So my guru is none other than Brahman, which means which Brahman is noble only through the teaching of the Upanishad. And because of that reason only, Brahman or Atma is called Upanishadam Brahma or Upanishadam Purasa, that which is noble only through Vedanta. And then Tamagokaram, that Brahma or Atman is my guru, which can never be known through any other means of knowledge or by any pramanam, instrument of knowledge, like sense organs, logical reasoning, etc. Agokaram means not knowable through other worldly pramana. Therefore, my guru, who is Brahman, is knowable only through Vedanta pramana, and not through any other pramana. That Brahman is my guru. Then there's a long Sanskrit verse. And what is the nature of that Atma? Paramandanam, which is the nature of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. But here, Shankaracharya highlights the most important feature of Atma, namely Paramananda. Parama means highest, limitless. Ananda means happiness. One who is of the nature of the highest happiness. It is not just his nature. If we surrender to the Guru, he will reveal that nature in ourselves also. That means the benefit of study of the Grantha is indicated here. Guru will make us realize that we are the embodiment of happiness. To that Guru, I offer namaskara for the successful completion of this study. And thus, with this beautiful Mangala Karanam, Shankaracharya begins his Vivekacudamani. Now we will enter into the second verse. In the following 2 verses, Shankaracharya is talking about the glory of human birth. How precious it is, how rare it is. Therefore, how it should be properly made use of. The glorification of human birth. Here the Acharya says, 3 things are extremely rare for every living being. Durlabam means very, very difficult to attain, very rarely attained. Trayam, the following three factors. 1. Manusyatvam. To be born a human being, human birth is very, very rare and precious, because in human birth alone, one can pursue all the goals of life. The ultimate goal of moksha can be pursued by a human being only. We don't see animals going after any purusartha, especially moksha. Animals cannot, only human beings can. Thus, human birth is rare, and according to the scriptures, there are about 84 lakhs species of living beings. Not 84 lakhs living beings, 84 lakhs species. Among those 84 lakh species, just one is the human being. Therefore, the chances of human birth is 1 in 84 lakhs. Therefore, the human birth, which is capable of pursuing liberation, is durlabam. 2. And in the human birth also, the next rare thing is mumuksattvam, the desire for moksha. According to scriptures, a human being can have 4 types of goals. A. Artha, pursuit of wealth for security, that is the first task. B. Kama, pursuit of sensory pleasures or objects of enjoyment. C. Dharma, dharma means punyam, which can be converted into exchange for artha and kama later, either in this birth or in a later birth. Therefore, punyam is the currency for procuring artha kama, the invisible currency which can give me pleasure and wealth, either in the intermediate or remote future. Punyam is thus the third goal. D, lastly, the most important goal, Paramapurasartha, is moksha. What is moksha will be explained elaborately later. Here I will give you just the essence. Moksha means freedom. Freedom from what will be the question. Freedom from self-ignorance and self-misconception is called moksha. According to the scriptures, we do not know our real nature. Our spiritual nature we are ignorant of. And because of self-ignorance, we have self-misconceptions. So we mistake ourselves to be mortal individual beings. The self-ignorance and self-conception is an intellectual problem. But according to Vedanta, this intellectual problem alone has been converted into all types of emotional problems, also, which are together called samsara. The problem of sorrow, the problem of fear, of hatred, jealousy, all such emotional problems we experience at the emotional level. But Vedanta diagnoses it as not an emotional problem. It is a symptom of a deeper intellectual problem consisting of self-ignorance and self-misconception. And as long as we don't solve this intellectual problem, we can never remove the emotional problems. That is why Lord Krishna says, wise people are the only ones who can get rid of all types of emotional problems, or samsara. And moksha is freedom from self-ignorance, self-misconception, and consequent samsara, experienced in the form of varieties of emotional problems. Unfortunately, desire for moksha people very rarely have. Most people are busy running after artha and kama. There are only very, very rare human beings who are interested in moksha. A person who seeks or pursues moksha is known as a mumukshu. His status is called mumuksattvam. This quality is also very, very rare. So birth as a human being is rare, and desire for moksha is still rarer. Krishna says, among thousands and thousands of humans, only one rare person seeks liberation. Therefore, mumuksattvam is also durlabam. The word durlabam, you have to connect with each one. 3. Mahapurasamsraya. This is the third rarest thing. So if one wants to pursue liberation, he will require a spiritual guide. Otherwise, he will be trapped like a blindfolded person dropped in a huge forest. Even as he will not be able to get out of the forest, we too are trapped in the forest of samsara, blindfolded. And so we can never find a way out by ourselves. Therefore, we require a guide to help us get liberation. And that spiritual guide is here called Mahapurusa. A spiritual guru is called Mahapurusa. Literally, the word Mahapurusa means a great person. In this context, a great person who is capable of guiding, leading, and taking us to liberation. Not after death, but in this very life itself. And samsraya means shelter or support or guidance. So the guidance of a competent spiritual guide is the third rarest thing. So this human birth is rare. Spiritual seeking is rarer. And getting a spiritual guide is rarest. All these three are possible only under one condition. What is that condition? Trayam eva eta deva anugraha hetukam. Deva anugraha hetukam. Deva means God. Anugraha means grace. Hetukam means caused by. Only if God's grace is there will we get all these three rare blessings. Then the next question will be, God will give his grace on what condition? Will God give his grace to anyone at random? Or does God also has raga and devesa, and so gives his grace only to some people and not to some other people? What is the basis for Isvara Negraha? The basis is we should deserve the grace of Ishvara. So God gives his grace to the deserving ones. That means if we need Ishvara's grace, we should deserve it. We should tap Ishvara's grace. For that, we should do spiritual punyam, which is karma yoga described in the Sastra. A karma yogi will acquire spiritual punyam, by which he will deserve the grace of the Lord. Through that, he will have manusvyat van mumuksvam and mahapuru samsvaraya. Of course, manusvatyam we already have. So now we require Bhagavan's grace for mumuksatvam. And mahapuru samsraya karma yoga will give these two. Then we will be the luckiest of the living beings. What is important is, using the guidance of Mahapurusa, we should acquire liberation. This is the message of this important sloka. Continuing, we will go to the third sloka in our selected list. So Shankaracharya assumes a rare possibility. Suppose a person has got all these three blessings because of Bhagavan's grace. All these three means he is born a human being, he has got mumuksutvam also, at least to some extent, and he has also got mahapuru sasamsraya. There are also Mahatmas also available around him. That means he is born in a culture in which spirituality is there and spiritual guides are available. And suppose, in spite of all these advantages, he doesn't make use of these and gain liberation in this Janma itself, then it will be a huge loss of all these advantages. And such a person must be the greatest fool. If there is a noble prize for foolishness, we should award it to such a person who doesn't make use of such rare advantages on hand. So here it is an indirect criticism or condemnation of all those people who do not make use of the available grace of God. Shankaracharya talks about such a person who has attained all these advantages. What are those advantages? Let us assume he has attained these advantages. What are they? Let us assume that the rare human birth has been attained, somehow because of some punyan done in some past birth. We do not know which past human birth, so in some past human birth, he may have done a lot of punyam and earned the grace of God. And because of that grace, he has attained Narajanma, or human birth already. And Durlabam Tatrapi Pumstvam, a controversial expression. The word Pumstvam means Puman, a Purusa, a male human being. In this context, Puman means a male human being. Pumstvam means maleness of human being. Let us assume that the human being has got advantage of being male. Now, this is a controversy, because it directly means to say that being born a male is advantageous and being born a female is less advantageous, it would seem. That's why I said it is a controversial expression. It appears Shankaracharya is saying males have some advantages over females, but we should not get into controversy. Already so much we have. We should not read any such controversy here. Spiritual pursuit is purely an internal pursuit. Physical body has nothing much to do. Our mind, our intellect, our inner being only matter more in the inward journey rather than our physical attributes. In Vedantic context, maleness or puru sattvam should not be taken in the literal sense. We should take it as referring to certain internal qualifications. So pumstvam, we will translate as certain advantages, internal qualifications. What are those? The intended internal qualification is emotional strength. Freedom from emotional weakness is very important. Emotional strength, emotional independence, or emotional courage. By these, I mean freedom from emotional attachment, because all scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita, declare raga or emotional attachment can be a very big obstacle to liberation, because a person who is emotionally attached will not be able to gain the knowledge. And even if that person gains knowledge, he will not be able to get the emotional benefit of the knowledge. If that person is over-attached to people and things, especially attachment to family, spouse, children, grandchildren, etc., that can be a very big obstacle to attain or realize the benefit of this knowledge. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, don't get over-attached to children, spouse, etc. Over-attachment or emotional slavery will create problem. Love is one thing. Love towards the family members is okay. But when the love leads to clouding of our Viveka Sakti, that Viveka clouding love is called attachment. As long as we have love which does not cloud Dharma, Adharma Viveka, and Atma, Anatma Viveka, that love is safe. The moment it clouds these twofold Viveka, it is no more love, it is attachment. This emotional attachment is an obstacle. Therefore, pumstvam, I will translate as emotional independence. So pumstvam also labdam astu. Let us assume this person has got that emotional courage or strength also. And let us assume that this human being is born in a culture which knows the value of moksha. The Bhagavad Gita uses the word tattva jnana artha dasanam, because a person born in some other culture will not know what is moksha or self-knowledge at all. Shrutipara means the shore of Veda. Shruti means Veda. So the other end of Shruti is Shrutipara. This refers to the ultimate destination of Vedic teaching, which is moksha. Shrutipara means moksha. Dasanam means he knows. He has understood that moksha is the ultimate destination. So Shrutipara Dasanam means one who knows moksha is the ultimate goal of life from the scriptures. Then yasvat mamuktya na yateta mudadihi. So let us assume that a human being has got all these three blessings already in his life. Now Shankaracharya says, And suppose that person is deluded, foolish, and how foolish. Knowing full well the importance of moksha, he doesn't dedicate his life for moksha as the primary goal, the ultimate goal. Why? He says, I don't have time. Despite his advantages, he says, I will do it later. After completing all my duties, I will try. He keeps on postponing. He doesn't prioritize properly. His entire life is dedicated to fulfillment of so many other worldly commitments. He doesn't have time for moksha. And by the time he discovers that moksha is very important, already his faculties are gone. That will be waste of precious human life. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, Ya atma muktya na yateta sa mudadihi. One who doesn't give top priority for liberation and start working for that right from early life itself is foolish. It is not something to be postponed to later. Start early. Atma mukti na yateta. Suppose a person doesn't so dedicate or commit himself to liberation. Atma is used here as reflexive pronoun. Mukti means liberation. So, for his own liberation, he doesn't start working. Karma yoga, he should start very early in life, so that in the middle of his life, he can join jnana yoga, and before long, he can attain moksha. The one who knowingly doesn't do that is a superlative fool. And I'm not going to keep reading for the whole session. There's nobody got any questions.
I could ask a question. I think I've always had this question about, Christians. There's a lot of Christians on our planet, and was talking about, I don't know, maybe it's in a different context, saying that, it's rare spiritual seekers. So maybe that's held in a slightly different context, but I feel like a lot of people, say they're spiritual, not religious. But I have a good amount of born-again Christians in my family, and I rarely talk about my beliefs because I think just their nature they're very excited about their religion. And my brother just told me 2 days ago, he said, I have to be Christian. I've spoken with God. I believe, I spoke with God. And in that same conversation, he was telling me how, we're all born sinners. And I interjected that I believed we were all born pure and that maybe we make mistakes, but those, can be undone. I was just wondering if you could speak to Christianity or other religions. I mean, I feel a little awkward saying, no, my religion, my beliefs are correct, when he's sincerely passionate about his life as a Christian. I mean, I think it comes from a very good place. And as an ex-drug addict, it really saved his life.
Yes, all religions, they contain what we can call an inner circle. We can find, for example, in Christianity, a lot of circles like the Gnosticism. And we can find, for example, in Muslims, we can find the Sufis or the dervishes. And the same with every religion. There is an outer circle, an external circle, where the masses are following only rituals and nothing more than that. And they are superficially believe that this is enough. And there are always inner circles in every stream of wisdom or faith, where people are more connected with the essence of the teachings. For example, myself, I love very much Rumi. I love very much the teachings of Christ, but the original teachings of Christ, not the teachings that the church is presenting in a wrongly manner. For example, Christ's teaching was completely an Advaitic teaching. It was completely non-dual. But the way they present Christ's teaching in the churches is dualistic. It is Advaita. And the same with let's say, Buddhism. In Buddhism, there are different levels of understanding and different levels of spiritual practice. We have Hinayana, the small vehicle. We have Mahayana, the big vehicle. We have Vajrayana, the diamond way. We have Mantrayana. We have Dzogchen or Mahamudra, which is the highest aspect of the truth, and so on and so forth. The same in what it is known as Hinduism. The right word is Sanatana Dharma. We have millions of streams of faith or paths which are starting from Sanatana Dharma, and they are expanding. And inside Sanatana Dharma, the top and the most profound teachings are the Upanishads, the Advaita Vedanta. So everything has its usage. For certain spiritual level of maturity, it is the different ways of approaching the truth according to different capacities of each and every apparent individual. So we cannot say that something is wrong or something is better or something it is we have to criticize or things like that. All has its place and everything has its necessity. Sometimes I use the example of my daughters. My daughters, Tara and Samadhi, they are 9 years old, twins daughters. I have tried to introduce them in Advaita Vedanta truth. And the response was to cry and say that we know deep in our heart that what you say is the truth, but we are not ready yet. You need to wait for us a little bit. And then what I have done is to teach them what we call karma yoga and upasana and values, dharma, lifestyle, and spiritual lifestyle and morality. So it is like that in humanity. There are people who cannot grasp. It is impossible for them to grasp the abstract and the most profound teaching of Advaita Vedanta. For many people, millions and millions of people, they found it. They can find blasphemous to say that you and God is the same true essence. They find it completely evil, even, and they can feel even that they are insulted according to their faith. If you say that you yourself is God, God and yourself are not two distinct things. But in Advaita Vedanta, we say this profound teaching that there is no other God than you yourself. Of course, not the body-mind complex, but you as the essence, as consciousness, awareness, Brahman. So it goes like that. According to different individual spiritual capacity, there are different streams of faith or spiritual path. And everything is perfectly fine. It is much better for someone to follow a Dvaitic path because of his immaturity, spiritual immaturity, and to have faith in God as something distinct than himself, something external, than not to follow anything at all and be a completely evil person. What about our behavior or our attitude towards others who cannot grasp the Advaita Vedanta teaching? We should allow them to be spiritually mature. It is not our work or our mission to make them ready for Advaita Vedanta. Because this may take millions of lifetimes. So it is not in our capacity to prepare somebody for Advaita Vedanta, Jnana Yoga. And those who are ready for Jnana Yoga, they knock the door to enter Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga will never have more than 20 to 100 individuals per country who will be interested for this profound teaching. Even in India itself, I cannot see more than, let's say, 1,000 who are deeply involved in Advaita Vedanta teaching. In a country of 1,300,000,000 people, hardly 1,000 they are really involved in Advaita Vedanta. So we cannot say what is wrong and what is good and what is appropriate for each and every individual. If it wasn't appropriate to be different streams of knowledge, different streams of wisdom or spiritual paths, then it wouldn't be like that. There is a necessity for that. There is a need for those who are in kindergarten level to follow kindergarten spiritual paths. For those who are in postdoctorate level, they can follow Advaita Vedanta. But how many are they? Those who are ready for Advaita Vedanta? Very, 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 very few. So we just follow our heart and our tendency due to previous spiritual practice that we did in our previous lifetimes, and we follow that which is an attraction for us. It is not by accident those who are attracted to Advaita Vedanta. It is due to millions of lifetimes of preparation and spiritual practices, sadhana, and a tremendous amount of punya, which means merits or good karma. And you cannot prepare somebody in a lifetime for Advaita Vedanta. And those who are not fully prepared, of course, they can combine karma yoga and upasana together with attachments in jnana yoga. So even if they are not prepared enough and they feel attraction and they have this punyam, this good karma, to be connected with Advaita Vedanta and the Guru and an authentic Guru Parampara, then let them do so, and they will get the maximum benefit. And in this lifetime, they will attain moksha. They will recognize that they are, in reality, their true nature is nitya mukta, eternally liberated, eternally self-realized. But not so many are in this level. And also, if we want to help others and to invite them, let's say, in our path, the others, what they will do is that they will observe your lifestyle, and they will observe how you act and how you are behaving after entering the path of Jnana Yoga. And if the others, the apparent others, of course, because there are no others in reality, if they will see that you are doing something like spiritual bypassing, or that you are misappropriating the teachings of Advaita Vedanta and your lifestyle is not according to the highest values of or principles or spiritual ethics of Advaita Vedanta, simply they will not follow your invitation. But if your lifestyle is according to the scriptures, the Dharma Sastram and Advaita Vedanta itself, then the others will feel an attraction. If they see you, that you are abiding in your true nature as Satchitananda, and you are peaceful and happy and blissful, and you are leading a life which is with ahimsa, without violence, and your life is also a contribution to society, then of course you can create a huge invitation emotionally, and you can invite them with the best way in this path. So it goes like this, yes, and we should be very careful, because these profound teachings, if they are being appropriated, they can create a kind of pride. Like I am following the Advaita Vedanta, the highest and the most profound teachings ever appeared in the planet, and I'm better than others. I'm not a common person. I am superior. So there is always this danger, this trap. But we should be sincere and in honesty and observe ourselves. Do we live according to the Dharma Sastram? Do we follow the values of Sanatana Dharma in general? Is our life an example, a good paradigm for others? And that is more than enough. Those who are ready from previous lifetimes and prepared enough, they will knock the door by themselves. They will do research. They will try to find a guru. They will try to follow a guru parampara, an authentic lineage. And there are gurus, alive gurus now, who can offer this guidance. My beloved guru is teaching. He offers teaching 40 years. And thousands of people, they got these profound teachings through my guru. And myself, I haven't found in my life such a clear, crystal clear teaching other than my gurus. And I have been following many spiritual paths since I was 6 or 7 years old, because I had spiritual, mystical experiences which I couldn't handle. And then I have started my path very, very early. And I have been following many, many spiritual paths and many gurus. But I have ended up in Advaita Vedanta as the most profound. And also my guru, Swami Paramarthananda. And also the Sringeri Jagat Gurus. So this is the most profound teaching that ever appeared in earth. And it needs a lot of punyam to grasp it, a lot of merits from previous lifetimes, millions of previous lifetimes. So I don't know if you want me to elaborate more on that.
No, I think, while you're talking, my ego goes a little different direction of, like my brother is a Christian. He, his pastor has told them they are the chosen ones. And he reminds me of that all the time. And he thinks I'm lost, But I guess to me, when someone says this is the best, I have an opposite reaction of I don't feel pride. I feel like, really? I mean, what are the odds of me, landing in the, the supreme path? It actually, I feel like I can't really accept that. There's so many people following other paths. I guess I wanted to hear something like, oh, there's many paths to God. This is just one of them. It's hard for me to hear that this is, the supreme path and everybody else is on the wrong path.
But there are no wrong paths. They are appropriate paths according to the spiritual capacity of each and every individual. I can give you the following example. Let's say that somebody is in the kindergarten and he's learning through this class of kindergarten. Can you say that his learning is wrong? And there is another one who is following postdoctorate studies. You cannot say that the one is wrong and the other one is better. It is according to the capacity of each and every apparent individual. There are no wrong paths. There are appropriate paths for each and every individual. For somebody to go to in the university or postdoctorate studies, it's not easy. And for some others, it is easy. But certainly, you cannot say that the postdoctorate studies are better than the kindergarten or the first classes of the school. It is a matter of spiritual capacity, of spiritual maturity due to previous lifetimes, due to your previous sadhana, spiritual practices and efforts. So for your brother, it is the appropriate path. For myself, Christianity, as they presented in the churches, is not the appropriate path. But that doesn't mean that your brother is following a wrong path. Just as the same, your brother cannot say that you are following a wrong path. You are following the path which is an attraction for you. You felt an attraction. You felt that you need to do at least research about it. It is perfectly fine. But at the same time, distinction of any kind, it is wrong understanding, even through logic. If you consider that the waves in the ocean are different from the ocean or the water itself, then by itself, it is a wrong understanding. If you consider that you and God are two distinct things, for example, that is a complete misunderstanding of the truth. Or that the gold is different from the ring, two distinct things. The ring is gold. All the beings are God, cannot be distinct from God. But in the churches, they present God as something external, something which is superior, something which is of another essence or nature. So we Advaitins, we believe that this is a terrible mistake. We say how you can be different and distinct from the ultimate source of everything, how you can be a distinct thing. And we say that there is only Brahman, there is only God, there is only the ultimate essence of everything and everyone. And we say even what quantum physicists they say, that consciousness, it can be only singular, cannot be plural. So there is only consciousness, awareness, Brahman, and everything appears and disappears in it. And the essence of everything that appears and disappears cannot be other than the essence itself, which is consciousness, awareness, Brahman. So this is our difference. But that doesn't mean that there are wrong paths and perfect paths. It is depending on the capacity of each and every individual due to previous lifetimes spiritual endeavors. I personally believe that interfaith dialogue can help the planet for more peace. I would love to participate, and I have been participating in many dialogues which is about interfaith peace and interfaith dialogues and interfaith friendship. And this must be continued. Should not be wars because of faiths. It is a terrible misunderstanding and a terrible mistake. So it doesn't matter if you call God with different names. God can be only one, no matter the name that you use. Consciousness, awareness, or presence don't have a name in reality. It cannot have a name. It doesn't need a name. Even the name consciousness or awareness is a superimposition to the ultimate reality of everything and everyone. But in reality, it does not need a name and it does not have a name. So whether you call it with your name or somebody else is call it with another name, it doesn't matter. And there are things in the religions and in all spiritual paths which are similar. For example, the rule that you should not do to others what you will not like to do to you. And you should do to others what you would love to do to you. Like some golden rules. And it is better to focus on what is connecting humanity and creates peace rather than the differences. Because there are similar things and there are also non-similar things. But it is better to sit down and to find the commonalities and to create peace in the planet as much as we can. I don't know if you like me to elaborate more.
No, I think that's clear. It's yes, because my brother and I love each other, he will listen to me. So it's been an interesting dialogue, very slow over the years, that he emphasizes 10 points that seem ridiculous to me, but I listen to them, about Christianity, and I'll respond to all of those. And one out of 10, I feel a little shift in him, only because he does love and trust me, that he will listen a little bit. But he, in my opinion, it's almost downright brainwashing. He's been involved with one church since he had problem with drugs in his 20s, and he's 68 now. One church, and so it's been a long time, and it did help him. It kept him on the straight and narrow. But anyway, once in a while I just see him stop for a minute and listen. It kind of sinks in a little bit. So it's been interesting. So I'll just stay with it. I do have one other question with the Upanishads. Do you have a certain translation that you prefer?
The best that are available right now are from Ramakrishna Mission.
Okay.
And also my guru is from time to time is suggesting. So you can see from the transcripts what is his, which are his suggestions.
I was going to see, mine has a green cover. I forget, I think it starts with an N. Okay, I've got it.
Yes.
The other. So is there really, is any translation okay, or you really do?
No, not all are okay.
Okay.
For example, there are paths which are dualistic or Dvaita, not Advaita. And they are considering and they are misinterpreting the teachings in their own way. For example, we have great difference with ISKCON, International Society of Krishna Consciousness. They are a Dvaitic path, a dualistic path. We have strong differences with this path. So we consider, I personally consider all this work they do completely contrary to Advaita Vedanta. And also many, many other. different paths are completely contradictory. So it is the same with to go back in your previous discussion, it is the same with the Christ teaching. There are more than 6,300 churches, and each one of them, it is claiming that I have the absolute truth. All the rest of the churches are wrong. So it is the same in Sanatana Dharma. There are so many traditions, so many paths, and even in Advaita Vedanta, different schools, they do exist. Even in Upanishads, the way you are understanding the Upanishads, it may differ according to different spiritual streams. So again, it is according to the spiritual maturity or capacity of each and every apparent individual. If somebody cannot grasp that his nature is Brahman, consciousness, impermanent and impersonal, permanent and impersonal consciousness awareness, if somebody cannot grasp that, and he believes that God is something distinct than himself as a being, and then even if you say that in our path we don't consider like that, and we believe that there is only one ultimate reality, which is consciousness, awareness, Brahman, he will never accept it. He will protest. He may even be violent with you and say that you are blasphemous. How I can be the same with God? How me and God being the same? And yet, there are so many others who find it completely natural and completely logical even, that there should be one ultimate reality, one absolute truth, one consciousness, singular consciousness awareness, which encompasses everything that appears in it by it. So why is that? Simply because some people have enough preparation and they have graduated from the complexities of dualism or confusion. They have graduated from this belief that there are distinct things and distinct beings, and always there will be others who are, due to their infinite spiritual capacity and spiritual practices, they will find it very natural and very true.
Time is running very, very short.
Okay, so let's close it for tonight, and see you all next week. Okay? Namaste.
Namaste.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।